everybody, and welcome to the Married to My Purpose podcast. This week, I am your girl, Dr. Serelda, and I'm looking forward to this segment because I've got a doll in the house for you all tonight. And I'm excited about all that she's going to share and open up and talk to us about. But you know that this particular podcast talks about real stories, real opinions, and real experiences, and talks on being married to your purpose, whatever that looks like. And tonight is no different. We have Miss Krishanna Small on the line. Thank you so much, Krishanna, for coming on tonight and giving us a little piece of your world for a few minutes. I know you are busy, you a professor and all that, so we can't keep up with professors because they have to do smart people stuff. So bow down to the professor, everybody. She is on the line and a published author, best-selling author. So listen, thank you so much for coming on. And this is how it's going to work. It's going to be real simple tonight. We're going to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you've been doing, what you do, and then we'll just have a quick conversation. That's all. So I'm going to give the floor to you, give you the opportunity to share a little bit, and we'll go from there. You have the floor, ma'am.
Hello, Dr. Serelda. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me this evening. It's such a joy and a pleasure to spend time with you. So, yeah, for the past uh, few months, I have embarked on a journey of being a professor.
Yeah.
Yes, very excited. At the University of South Carolina, I am so overjoyed to have had that opportunity to teach incoming freshmen about just how to navigate that space and how to navigate being a first time a student, being away from home. I've as much as I hope that they have learned from me over the past semester, I have learned a lot from them as well. It has truly been a time where I've been walking in my purpose, most definitely. In addition to that, during the daytime, what I do, my main job is I work for the Division of Law Enforcement and Safety. I do budget and finance, payroll, things of that nature. But my heart is most certainly with the students that I've had the opportunity to touch their lives, and definitely feel like it's my purpose. I am a wife, a mother of two, and a full time, well, part time doctoral candidate. And yes, so prayerfully by the end of 2025, I will be Dr. Krishanna Small. That is
Yes,
the
you will.
goal.
You will.
Yes, claiming that.
Yes.
So my prayer is that I will further be able to be in spaces that would allow me to further be in my purpose.
Wow. So, okay, so you talked about quite a bit. Two things that come to my mind. What I didn't realize is I didn't realize that you were doing the one job with the, I think you said criminal justice
Mhm.
or system, but also an instructor. So are you an adjunct online or you're actually going into the building? How is that working out?
Yes, I'm an adjunct that goes into the classroom.
Okay. Wow.
Yes,
So is
yeah.
this
So
at
very
night?
right near the latter part of the day. So I
Mm,
do like earlier part of the day, do my 7.5 hours, and then I go and teach the students.
wow. Okay. Wow. So you are literally in two different worlds on a
Yes,
day-to-day basis. I mean, you're still dealing with people, but the latter half of the day sounds like you are balancing purpose and your 9 to 5 or 8 to 2 or
yes,
whatever it
hmm
is, whatever it is
yes,
you're
ma'am.
doing. How is that for you?
Yes.
Does it seem to clash or it's complementary? It's not stressful? How is that?
I'm not going to say it's stressful. Thankfully, my main job has been very supportive. They're very supportive of that, very encouraging, and they want to allow us to uh, further ourselves both professionally and just personally. And so when I went to them and let them know of that opportunity, um, they were very much encouraging of it. And now that I have done it for one semester, I intend to do it for many more to come prayerfully. And after my first semester, I am proud to share they have an award for inspect first year professors that the students can nominate their professor, and I was nominated for that award.
Oh my goodness, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so now I'm being nosy. So you're just gonna have to tell me or just say it's not my business. So, are you an education major, or how did you, because adjunct professor versus submitting a resume, and I'm not in the education field. One day it's on my bucket list to become an adjunct professor. So I'm federal government all the way. My resume looks nothing like a CV. Like, tell me about what happened when you decided to go into that. Did you know how to do it? Did you ask somebody to help you, or you just stumbled into it and somebody said, hey, you look like you would be a great adjunct, come and apply? How did that work for you?
Yes, so it's always been on my heart to be a teacher of some sort. I will share that before I get to the latter part of your question. When I was 6 years old, my mom still has it. She showed me where I had done a project and it said, what do you do? What do you want to be when you grow up? And I wrote, I wanted to be a teacher. And that was at 6 years old. And as I went through the education process, once I turned, I think it was 12 or 13, and I began
Mhm.
really looking into colleges and what do I want to do when I grow up, like seriously do when I grow up. I will be honest and say that I looked at ROI without even realizing what ROI was at the time.
What is that?
Return on investment.
Oh, return on investment. Okay, I thought it meant something else. Okay.
No, just standard return on ROI, return on investment. And whether it's right or wrong, I love educators. Every profession is made by teachers, by educators. You have to learn how to be anything,
Mhm.
right? But unfortunately, we know that teachers as a whole do not make a high salary. They just do not.
Unfortunately, because they are very integral in
So,
educating. That's sad. But anyway, don't get me
yes.
started on that.
Yes, ma'am. So when I realized that at that age, I said, well, as much as I want to be a teacher, maybe I should pick something else, another career path that may pay more and I can still maybe volunteer my time
Mm,
and teach and do something so that I still feel like I'm walking in my purpose, but not necessarily feeling like it may be difficult to sustain a lifestyle. So once I turned 18 and I attended Howard University for my bachelor's degree, I was a political science major, sociology minor with the intent of going to law school.
mm.
That did not happen. I ended up going into international security and security in healthcare. It actually led me into the healthcare realm where I remained for 14 years.
Mm.
So, with that, um, the opportunity came for me. There was a shift in my life, and I ended up going to the University of South Carolina and working at the University of South Carolina, but in their budget and finance unit.
Okay.
And there is where, just in talking with some of my colleagues, they alerted me that there was an opportunity for anyone who was a full-time employee of the university. If you had a master's degree, and I did it, of course, international security studies, you
Yeah.
could apply, interview, and go through a process to see if you wanted to be an adjunct
Mm.
because they had openings for that. So I went through that process, interview, paperwork, submitting all of that, and ended up being selected as a candidate. And then there was
Mm.
workshops, several many workshops. So it was almost a year-long process
Yeah.
leading into me actually going into the classroom. So that's how I ended up in the classroom. And I definitely believe that that was nothing but God because
Yeah.
once I never thought I would be able to not only be a teacher but be at a collegiate level. That had never really been my dream. I had always wanted to teach maybe kindergarten or first grade,
Mm.
which I love. But the thing is, because to me, those are every year is formative. But I definitely felt like I always wanted to be at the stage where I was really helping to mold and form them from the very beginning. So the
Mm.
fact that now I teach freshmen who
Wow.
are at they're 18 moving into adulthood, I'm still helping them and forming
That's right.
them
That's
and
right.
they still need us just as much as a 5 or 6 year old at 17 and 18. um
Exactly right.
yeah, like I said, I learned so much from the things that they're dealing with. I just didn't realize.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think with what you're saying is so true because it's almost like you graduate, you go through kindergarten through 12th grade, you matriculate there, and then you're literally almost starting over another phase and season of your life where you're back at the beginning. So being able to teach those freshmen, and then I mean, when you went to college and when you were in K through 12, and when I was in K through 12, the world is different. I mean, we have a climate right now where they're going to want to ask questions, and some of them we don't have answers to us, let alone you being a professor and not having the answers. Or you may have people in your class that don't look like you, didn't grow up like you, and they have questions. And so, wow, to be able to shape minds and shape potential future leaders of this world, that is amazing. I mean, congratulations. I've said that before, but congratulations for being able to do what you are literally wanting to do and purpose to do. That's amazing.
Thank you. And I can say, Dr. Serelda, when I have corresponded with people just in any setting, I've been at the grocery store, in other settings, I have had people ask me or say to me, "Are you a teacher?"
Mm.
And I haven't even,
Why would they ask? Like you just
I
look like a
no,
teacher?
I think so. I think maybe because of the way I was communicating or just the way I appear, and they would say, "Oh, you look like," or I can just feel like you would be a good one if you're not. And I
Mm.
said, "Well, thank you. I am one." And I can say all the years I was in healthcare, I never had anyone ask me, "Do you work in
Mm.
healthcare?" And I feel like that's another way I know that I'm walking the path that God wants me to walk because it's on me. Like
Mm.
and people see it and they feel my energy. Um, at the end of the semester, my students wrote very kind words to me. And
Oh,
actually, the one that ended up finding out nominated me, she had wrote something similar to me on the card they gave me. But what she nominated me for, she said that she felt safe with me,
wow.
and that was she's the only one who said that, and that resonated with me so much.
Yeah.
um, because I mean, all of my students play or have a special place in my heart. I shared that with them the entire semester, that they were my first class and that they would always have a special place in my heart. But this one in particular is one I really actually learned a lot from. Like I said, I hadn't even considered that some of them do come at 17 years old. So
Mm.
they're 17, they're not 18. And legally, there are things you can't even do by yourself
That's right.
at 17. And yet you go to college and you're in a different state and you're away from your parents and all your
Yeah.
friends. And there's maybe things you want to do and you cannot do.
Yeah.
And just trying you want to be an adult and do things, but there are things that they say, oh, you actually can't do that. We need to talk to your parents. You're underage. And
Wow.
so things
Wow.
like that, which I hadn't even thought about because I have a daughter who is 13 and when she goes to college, she'll be 17 for a few
Mm.
months. So I'm like, oh, my daughter will have to deal with the same thing. So now as I help this young lady navigate this because I'm going to help her away from home,
Mm-hmm.
then I know what maybe my daughter will deal with, and I can help her navigate that space as well from afar, or who she can look to for guidance.
Yeah, that's amazing because when you look at the college setting, every child and every student is different. There are some students that may be coming off the college that are absolutely terrified to be there. It could be they could have social anxieties. They could have had some type of trauma before they got there. Of course, every student that goes to college doesn't have the money to go there. So some of them are working to pay to go to college. So for someone to tell you they feel safe, I guarantee you there is so much more behind that statement that drove them to say that. And for someone to feel safe around another human being, I think is the greatest compliment that anyone could give someone. And you do have a very electric spirit about you, but it's also calming. So I definitely identify with what they're saying, that you do bring a safe energy into any space that you're in. So don't ever minimize that or think that it's not there, because there is that light. You have a light of safety around you. And I'm so grateful that you are able to emit it without even saying, okay, everybody, it's safe to be around me. First of all, they're gonna be like, if you got to say it, that it's probably not true. People say, oh, it's safe to tell me. It's first of all, I don't even want to tell you now because you shouldn't have to tell me that, you know.
Right, right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are you planning to continue to teach as an adjunct in this current job that you're in, or you eventually want to do just one? Like, what does that look like for you going forward?
Right now, I want to continue to do both, if possible,
Mhm.
but just allow God to guide and lead me and see where that goes. I'm not
Yeah.
against it. I don't know what He has for me, but I do know that I need to continue to be in this space right now. So
Wow.
I'm excited for that. I am.
Wow. And then, I mean, you say your mom, your wife, and
Yes,
big, I mean, you're balancing a lot, it sounds like. How are you balancing all of this? And I know you are in community, civic, nonprofit organizations where you're serving outside of the home. Like, you got a lot going on. And you were in pageants before, my pageant
yes,
sister. Okay,
yes,
okay.
ma'am.
So you have so much experience and so many stories that you could share. My question to you is, when you are in the classroom, do any of those experiences come up where you're able to share, even though you're teaching them about things? How do you intertwine your life experiences with you teaching?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will share one example. In my class, they were so wonderful about it, so understanding. During on Veterans Day, I actually taught on Veterans Day,
Mm,
or the day after Veterans Day. Either way, we did an activity, and I wanted to honor the veterans. And as a military wife, um, it's just a special place in my heart for those who serve and have served. So, of course, thank you for your service, Dr. Serelda.
yes, ma'am.
Um,
Proud to serve.
yes. So I had my, and I also was teaching them about community. And it was, oh, one major thing, let me say that was important for me to teach my students was that you have to give back, community
That's right.
involvement, civic engagement. So, in addition to talking, thinking, asking them about if they had any veterans in their family or doing anything for the veterans, I wanted them to know you need to get involved in your community. So what we did was for class was I had them write letters to veterans
Mm,
abroad, just to write thanking them for their service. I showed them some videos of their programs that you don't have to know them personally, but just veterans abroad, if they can just get cards or care packages from anybody, just know we're thinking about you over there. Um,
yeah.
they really appreciate that. So in sharing that, and we did that project, I started crying in front of the class.
Oh,
Basically, I couldn't hold it in. I was trying to hold it back and be professional as I could about it, but it was just on my heart. And I can honestly say they were just okay with it. They just not literally embraced me, but they didn't make me feel awkward like my teacher is crying in the front of the
mhm,
classroom. They understood a lot. Several of them had come from military families. Um, and they some of them even shared they were kind of sad they wouldn't be able to be home with their veteran father who they always went out to eat and or
yeah.
whatever, so they weren't home to do those things like they had every other year. It was their first year not being home, so we were just able to share those experiences. But yes, I brought in that personal aspect into the classroom in that instance. Another time I brought a personal experience was I shared with them how when I was in college I had unfortunately had an experience with assault that came from me accepting a drink, an alcoholic, a drink from someone I did not know.
Yeah.
In doing that, it opened the floor for several of my students, to include the one that I spoke about who said I made her feel safe, sharing that she too had already been in a space where someone had put something in her drink, and thankfully she was in a setting where her friends got her out of there
Mm,
before anything could happen. They noticed her starting to act a little funny. They took her out of there. But of course, from that point, it triggered serious anxiety with her being in spaces alone.
mhm.
And so we had several one on ones. Um, she even came to visit me in my office. And most of the time, I scheduled the meetings with students for 15 minutes. We spoke for 45.
Wow.
I did not shorten her time because she really wasn't talking. to anybody. And when I shared mine, she said, oh, she knew I understood what she was experiencing.
Mm.
And I actually walked her back to her dorm, because not all the way, because
Yeah.
I didn't want to be
Yeah.
like mom, you know, you're a
Yeah.
grown, you're an adult. But and I think if I had, she wouldn't have even minded,
You probably
honestly.
wouldn't have minded.
No, but I walked her almost all the way to her dorm, because she had came there, and she had gotten there, but I was like, "Are you sure do you want me to, would you like me to walk with you back to your dorm?" And she said, "Okay." And and like I said, I think that's part of where the, not just you're a nice teacher, and it was, I feel safe with you, because I could read when um she would make comments that, like, try to laugh, like make them so, like they weren't as serious, like, "Oh yeah, this just happened, haha." And I was like, "Wait, no, what?"
Yeah. Yeah, that's like a red flag. Like, no, no, no. It's not
Yeah.
a
No,
ha
no,
ha
no.
ha. It's like,
Wait.
okay.
Right. And so, um, I'm grateful I could be that person,
Yeah.
for even just one. And when I started the semester, I said, if nothing else, if I can just touch one student,
Mm-hmm.
in particular, especially with them being away from home for the first time, and being at a public university that, and being, and just having the opportunity to go to all these events, and
Mm-hmm.
potentially get in those environments.
Yeah.
If I can encourage them to stay with your friends or people you trust, do not accept drinks from people you do not know,
Right.
um, then I will have done something positive. And so I'm glad that that at least happened. Um,
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, because she spoke up and you spoke up, even though other people may not have spoken up the way that she did, they heard it. And now they know that it's a safe place. And so for you to be able to be so um integral in these kids' lives, young adults' lives, future leaders' lives. You're shaping how they see the world. And boy, the world is in a state right now. So to be able to give them a level of safety and peace in these times, regardless of what's going on around us, that is a powerful change agent if I couldn't think of any other. So this is, to me, is such an honorable space that you're in right now. And like you said, you don't want to leave it for any time soon. And I don't want you to leave it. I would love to see you continue to rise up in the academic spaces because you're making a difference. But it almost seems like right now in this season with the freshmen, that's right where you need to be. It feels like that's where you are supposed to be based
yeah.
off of the things you've shared. Like, this is where you're supposed to be. It may be hard for you to move when they might come ask you to move. Oh, wow, that is
Yes.
amazing. So as we get ready to close out, talk to us about what's next on your plate. I know you are a best-selling author. One of the conference speakers this past August. Like, you're doing all types of stuff in your world. Like, what's next? Where can people find you? How can we keep in contact and connect with you? Tell the audience what, some last minute final comments or nuggets you want to leave, and then let us know how we can continue to stay connected to you.
Yes, absolutely. So I can be reached on LinkedIn, Krishanna Small. Just search my name, Krishanna Small. I can also be found on social media by the same name. And just nuggets to take with you. Just allow God to guide and lead you. If you try to navigate away from your purpose, God's going to guide you right on back.
Mm,
It doesn't matter. And that's why I shared the story about how when I was 6 years old, I God had already put on me, I want to be a teacher.
yeah,
But I said, well, I'm not sure they do this, or they might not make enough to sustain. So let me do something else. I'm going to be a lawyer. That didn't happen. Went into healthcare, and it was fine, but I still ended up right here at a university teaching students 30 plus years later. So, and now I'm finally in a space where I'm like, this is what I was supposed to do. And I'm grateful. So just allow God to guide and lead you, follow and walk in your purpose, because that's where you're going to make the most impact.
wow. everybody, Krishanna Small, the college professor extraordinaire, the safety whisperer for students. We absolutely appreciate you this week. And listen, folks, we want you all to come back on next week. You know, make sure you reach out to her on her social media handles. And look, we look forward to talking more about being married to your purpose next week. And we'll see you then. Take care, everyone, and good night.